All right, the doc is in. What up, what up, what up? How are you guys? All right, today I'm just gonna straight up see what you guys' health questions are, and I'm just gonna answer them. Usually I come on and kind of speak a little bit, but I want to get to know you guys and give you guys an opportunity to speak what thoughts are coming up around your health, what you're currently going through, whether it's a diagnosis you received, feeling emotional, feeling away, whatever it is that is on your mind. I'm here to do my best to help you the best that I can. Now, if this is your first time joining me, please know that I am not a medical doctor. Okay, I am not a medical doctor. I am a PhD, educational psychology and research specialist. Well, specializing in the psychology of eating. But the reason why I often rarely talk about food because a lot of times our food choices are based on how we're feeling. And so that's why I specialize in emotional eating, stress, all these other things that are around food that may lead us to choices around food. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. So I see a few questions coming up. Thank you for joining me on YouTube and Skool and Instagram and Facebook. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So I'm just going to go through these with the questions that I see. And why do you think I struggle with food habits? Okay. Well, okay. So obviously, I don't know you personally, so I can't say why do you specifically struggle with food habits. But this is a common struggle for a lot of people. So most people struggle with food habits, whether they're, and it could be intelligent people too. It could be really intelligent, but this is honestly one of my favorites because people assume that knowledge is the only thing that's needed when you want to stop a habit. But most people already know like the basics, right? You already know to drink more water. You already know to eat more fruits and more vegetables. You already know that you shouldn't eat 10 donuts in a day. You know that you need to move your body. So the problem isn't information, right? The problem is how the brain works and making sure that you understand how the brain works. So our brains are wired to it's rewired for reward, it's wired for comfort, and it's wired for familiarity. Okay, it's not wired for long-term health, right? I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's not wired that way. So when we eat certain foods, our brain releases the dopamine, which is the feel-good chemical, and that's the same reward and the same chemical that's involved in other habits and other addictions. So over time, our brains starts associating these foods with relief and with comfort and with joy and with peace and pleasure. So even highly intelligent people can struggle with food and habits because the brain is following the patterns that it had set up a long time ago. And then when you piece that with marketing, it becomes nearly impossible to make those food changes on your own. So that's why real change, it's not about more information. You guys already know what to do. It's about retraining the brain so that healthier choices and behaviors become familiar instead of what triggered you. Okay? So great question. I appreciate that. And I'm looking up for YouTube and if you guys want to be in my private community, I answer your health questions all the time. But let me know some of your questions. I see another one. Why do people restart diets every Monday? Oh, that's another great question. Why do people restart diets every Monday? Well, Monday has become this psychological reset button in our culture, I believe. So people will say things like, okay, the weekend I want to just let loose because I've had a long weekend. And the weekend can feel messy and you can feel more comfortable doing whatever you want to over the weekend. And then you can hit that reset button and start fresh on Monday. So, but what usually happens is that people try to go from zero to perfection overnight, and it just doesn't work that way. They try to remove, everything all at once, and then we try to operate under pure willpower. The brain does not like that. The brain sees danger, danger, danger. This is way too much change. Let's go back to what we were doing before. So when your habits just change too drastically, the brain experiences this as a threat to your routine, and it starts to push you backward toward familiar behaviors. So that's why so many people restart on Monday, not because, they're feeling weak or whatever, but it's the approach that we're going toward it lies on discipline instead of behavior change. And you have to attach that to an emotional change and then ask yourself, how do you want to feel? All these things take practice. So, believe it or not, we're practicing now. What you're doing right now, you're practicing a behavior for long term. The way that you enter or the way that you make those behavioral changes is that you've got to figure out a way to interrupt it. If you don't have a structure in place, like a coach like myself or my system, you have to figure out a way to interrupt that change or interrupt those behaviors to make better change. If not, you're going to keep being in the same place every day, every month, every year. So, real change happens when we make small shifts where the brain can adapt to and not be so dramatic overhauls that trigger even more resistance to change. Hey guys, hey guys. All right, good to see you. So, hopefully that makes sense. So, waiting until Monday is really sending a signal to your body that you really don't want to change. And so, you keep pushing it off for another day, another week, another year. What I teach inside of my program is that if we can get together like small little tiny little changes that where it almost seems too impossible to fail, that's when you can start to actually improve your health. And you look up by this time next year and you're like, whoa, I'm actually 52% better. Have you guys ever heard of getting 1% better? 1% better. If you can do that 1% better every week, you look up next year, you'll be 52% better. That's how it works. Tiny little patterns. Okay? All right. Another question. Why does stress make people crave junk food? Why does stress make people crave junk food? Man, kind of similar to what we were talking about. So when we're stressed, I'm sorry, I want to make sure I get you guys. Um, yes, absolutely. Okay. So when we're stressed out, the body releases a hormone called cortisol, right? Cortisol prepares the body for survival. And historically, that meant finding quick energy. So the brain starts looking for the fast fuel, which usually means fast foods. And what are in fast foods? Sugar, salt, fat, right? Those are the things that the body likes when we're stressed out. But here's another layer to it. If certain foods help you cope with stress earlier in life, maybe during childhood and school pressure or emotional moments, the brain is going to remember that. So it's going to store those experiences as comfort associations. So when stress shows up today, the brain says, hey, let's go back and do what worked before. That's why stress cravings aren't just about food, they're about learned coping patterns. So, if you can't figure out a way to interrupt that, you're going to continue because this is learned behavior from 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years. Okay? Inside of my program called Fed Up, I teach you guys how to recognize what's going on. And then I actually, I can't tell part of it because that's part of the success is the psychology behind it. So I give you guys 2 weeks free inside of my Skool program so you can try it out and kind of get a feel of how it works. But I don't like to give away too much because, like I said, part of the success is the psychology behind of you not knowing what's coming next. Okay. So click the link in my bio and you can get 2 weeks access into the program. But I hope that helps you better, a little bit better understand the brain just loves continuity. It loves familiarity. And it's going to keep doing what you are training it to do. Unless you go left, it's going to keep going right. But is that the right direction that you want it to go? All right. Another question. Can you actually retrain your brain to stop cravings? Well, yeah. Okay. Let me see if I can find some additional information I haven't said already. But yes, you can literally retrain your brain to stop the cravings. I used to have the biggest sweet tooth ever, and I rarely get cravings for sweetness anymore. And this is not about, again, what I say all the time, white knuckling it and willpower and fighting your cravings with, all kinds of other stuff that just are temporary and it doesn't work, motivation, all that kind of stuff, summer body. Cravings are basically neural pathways that have been repeated multiple times. So the more that you repeat a behavior, the stronger that pathway becomes, right? Good news is this is that we can adapt to anything. Adaptation is basically called neuroplasticity. So when people begin introducing new patterns, like eating differently, responding to stress differently, or even thinking differently about food and seeing it for what it truly is, the brain will slowly start to build new pathways. This is why I teach alkalizing breaths. It helps you give the body oxygen, which helps wake up the brain and say, hey, help me become more alert about what's going on. So, little things like that, over time, the old craving signals become weaker and the new habits become more automatic. So, it's not about eliminating cravings instantly, it's more about training the brain to respond differently when stressors in your life show up. Okay? Hopefully that helps. All right. I'm going to answer maybe a couple of more. Let's see. Um okay. Why do we eat when we're not hungry? Whew. Phenomenal answer or phenomenal question. Let me see if I can uh package this in a way that makes sense. Why do we eat when we're not hungry? Because I'm not immune to this. I definitely have eaten and will probably do it again when I'm not hungry. So this is not about perfection, but definitely about awareness. um yeah, and I've gotten myself to a space to where I'm making sure that I'm choosing the food that I'm choosing is not going to be more detrimental to my health. But anyway, to answer your question, why do we eat when we're not hungry? It's mainly because most eating is not, again, driven by physical hunger. It's driven by emotions that are going on, our environment, physiological cues, right? So sometimes we eat because we're bored. Sometimes we eat because we're stressed. Sometimes we eat because we're fearful of something. We can't control other things, so food is the quickest thing that we can control, or we think it is. So food is just always available. It never disappoints, as people say. There's actually a part of the brain that responds strongly to visual and environmental triggers. So just seeing a food or smelling the food or even thinking about the food can activate that desire to eat, even when the body doesn't need energy. So over time, the brain learns these patterns and start responding automatically. This is why you want to leave guilt and shame out of it, because it's not your fault. It's just remembering the last time that you had this taco or this chocolate cake. Okay? This is one of the most powerful things that we can do is pause and ask ourselves one simple question. Am I hungry? Or am I responding to a habit? Am I hungry or am I responding to a habit? That is the moment of awareness, and that is where things often change. I am telling you guys, if you want to quantum leap to a space to where you stop overeating, you I even talk about smoking and drinking it in the program as well. Probably shouldn't have told you that. That's part of surprise or whatever, but it we build a strong foundation around awareness, because a lot of times we overeat and don't even realize it. Let me ask you guys this. Have you ever had a bag of chips? You sat on the couch and you were watching TV and you got down to the bottom of the bag of the chips and you're like, I've eaten this whole bag? Has that ever happened? That is when you're unconscious about what's going on. And part of that, why you're not aware of what's going on, is because whatever you're watching has taken your attention. It has hijacked your brain to not even pay attention to what's going on. The music that's being played is part of that hijacking. The lights that are flashing is part of that hijacking. All of it is together as a system that is playing a role into hijacking your awareness on what you're really doing, and it's driving you in a direction that most likely you don't want to go. So what I've created is a system to actually bring you more aware to your life, so you can go in a direction of how you want to look, how you want to feel, how you want your future to look like, right? Because if we're not aware, we're going to keep being in the same place, same mindset, same everything year after year. And you just have to get to a space to where you get fed up, which is why I named it that, and where you can take better control of your life. If not, same things are going to happen. I want to ask you guys this. Have you ever invested in yourself? Or when is the last time you invested in yourself? I'll wait. Okay, somebody says yes. What have you invested in? Like, what were the tools that you invested in? Gym memberships? Okay, good. Good. Let me speak on the gym. And I'm not trying to hold on, I see your question. I'm gonna come back real quick. I just want to give you guys the facts on the gym. Not trying to offend any trainers or you working out. If you're going to the gym, great. Keep doing that. I just want you to know though, at our grown age, um, the gym and working out really only accounts to about 20% of how we look and feel. The kitchen is more 80%, or what we put in our bodies is more 80%. So we really got to work on what we're putting on our bodies more than the physical. But if going to the gym helps you relieve stress, please keep doing it. Please keep doing it, But if you are the type of person that hates the gym, stop going. Stop forcing yourself to go until you can retrain this first. Then your body will desire to go to the gym later. But you're doing yourself more of a disservice if you're forcing yourself to do things. Okay. Um, we eat when we're not hungry because of satiety signaling. It's so many different reasons. Yeah, it's so many different reasons. I just tried to give something really simple, but you're absolutely right. Kebs, keto simple. All right. So I assume that you're a keto person. Um, the set. There you go. Look at you knowing about the parts of the brain. The cephalic response, right. Am I eating foods that help me reach satiety, or am I eating foods that leave me still hungry? Right? There are foods that are chemically engineered to make us want more. More products that I pick up have, this phrase called natural flavors. Those natural flavors ain't natural. Okay? Um, they are a combination of so many different things. Some of it can include roadkill. But at the end of the day, they're engineered to make us want to eat more. You're never going to be fully satisfied with a bag of chips, a bag of cookies, crackers, whatever. Those things are not created to make us full. And it's like I said, we just constantly want to eat more because we're not satisfied. That's another reason why we overeat. So yes, calorie deficit, legs swelling, but no half very skinny. Wait, calorie deficit, legs are swelling, but top half very skinny. Okay, so I don't know you at all, and I don't want to diagnose, but there may be some drainage issues which is attached to the lymphatic system, possibly. Okay, hear this widely, not trying to diagnose anybody, but just from the sound of it, it sounds like your lymphatic system is not draining properly. There are 10 areas on my body that I like to do a lymphatic drainage or lymphatic sweep. It's basically a lymphatic sweep that I like to do on myself every day. And I do it twice a day when I get out of the shower from those two showers. So it's here. It's basically the areas of the lymph nodes of your body. So here, and then you do it 10 times, and then you cup it 10 times on each side. And then here, cup it, cup it. Here is a big area, especially if you're still wearing deodorant. Um, I used to get tender breasts when I was using a lot of store-bought deodorants, and it's been 10 years. I don't wear deodorant anymore. I just use coconut oil. Those tender parts around my breast, they disappeared. Look at that. But I still make sure that I take care of and flush any toxins that are still coming through our bodies, right? So here is a big lymph nodes, and you cup it 10 times around the stomach, around the groin area, like the V part. That's another big area to flush out. Behind the knees, and then on the sides of the ankles. Okay. But I know that was a lot for you to kind of like take notes right now. Anytime you come to my lives, make sure you take notes. But if you join my private community, I can give you that information step by step. It's a 7-day free trial, so you can come in, get that information, and leave back out if you want to. But yeah, if you want to be serious about helping with your health, maybe I can help you. I have an herbalist that I work with, and they can give you more details. Then we got to look at what you're eating. Got to look at what you're putting on your body. Got to look at what stresses you. A lot of different things. So yeah, this is just the start. It's just a start. But hopefully that helped. We focus on calories where we should be focused on nutrient density in our food and getting enough healthy fats to aid with satiety. Stress keeps cortisol high. which inhibits sleep and weight loss. Man, that's a big one. The inhibition of sleep, huge. I mean, I know for me personally, I've heard, get your rest all of my life. And what's another? Manage your stress, all these kind of things. I was like, that it's not a big deal. It's a big deal, you guys. It's a big deal. If you have not experienced that for yourself, just keep living. It's definitely a big deal. So kudos to you for understanding that and sharing that with the group. Um, when I was getting my PhD, I did not sleep. And that was a near 8 year journey. So I did not sleep and I ate all the time. Now, I am 100% plant based, but that doesn't mean that you're healthy at all. Okay. I was eating my plants all the time, but I was also eating them late at night and early in the morning, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning while I'm studying, while I'm writing. And, because that's what happens to me when I get kind of anxious and I'm just like, oh, I learned something new that I want to share with you guys. Oh, I gotta, it's kind of like what I imagine for someone that smokes. They want to smoke a cigarette. Me, I want to eat. So what happened? I got a belly that was just out of this world. And the crazier part is I didn't even realize it until years later. It's crazy. It's like, so now I'm very understanding of when I get clients that come to me and say, Doc, I don't even know where this 200 pounds came from. I get it now. I totally get it. Zero judgment from me ever because I've experienced so much, you guys. I don't have a heaven or hell to put you in. So zero judgment for me. So I get it because we keep doing the same things. We're not really paying attention. We're not really aware. We just keep living, keep living. We look up, it's 10 years later, and now we're extra 200 pounds that we don't want. And you're just like, what happened? So everything that I teach, the psychology of eating, it's about awareness. It's about what's going on in your life. So it's really about the food itself. But yeah, thank you. Shout out to you for that. Natural flavors are proprietary by each company, so we'll never know. I know. So I Googled like some of the ingredients on some of the products, and I do remember seeing roadkill is one of them. But all of it, again, it's engineered to make us just want more. If you don't get quality sleep, you're going to have so many issues. Who are you telling? Who are you telling? So I'm curious about this because your name is Keto Simple. Are you a big proponent of the keto diet? Like, is that a? I have limited research on keto, so don't look at me for that kind of knowledge. But to you, let me know if you believe that that is something. Which, first of all, I don't believe in diets. I am on a live it. Okay, live it, LIVEITS. But is the keto plan, I guess I could say, is that something that you can do long term, or is it just more short term, like kind of how some people see fasting? Which, by the way, we're doing a fasting 40-day liquid fast, which is not a true fast, but a 40-day liquid fast in April. And I'm partnering up with Alkaline Vegan Mommy. If you guys are familiar with her, she has about a 250,000 followers on Instagram alone. She's amazing. She's done this since 2016 or 17, somewhere around there. But we are doing a group fast, and that has, the fastest she's done before in the past, people have reversed a lot of stuff. We just, everybody, whether you're plant based, keto, whatever, everybody's body needs a break from eating. Okay. So, yes, a true fast is nothing at all, which, if you've joined me before, last week I was on a 3-day dry fast, which means nothing but air. So, obviously, no eating, no drinking, not even taking a shower, not even brushing my teeth. That is a true dry fast. And I did that last week. And then I broke my fast with just water for a whole day. And then after that, no, I did 2 days of just water. And then after that, after the fifth day, I broke it with Um, I boiled some zucchini because I did a food sensitivity test, and my digestive system is really sensitive. So if you bloat easily, you may want to take a food sensitivity test to see what your body likes and doesn't like. I don't know if the young lady that is still on here where her body is swelling in different areas of the body, but it could be multiple things that are going on. But you want to take a food sensitivity test to see why you bloat so easily. So with me, my body likes zucchini, so I boiled some zucchini just a little bit, just to get it a little bit soft, and then I blended it, added some spices, and it was so delicious. It was so delicious. Sometimes we make eating just so difficult. It's got to be all these ingredients. No, it could be very, very simple foods. Very simple food. So hopefully, if you guys are interested in our fast, join us. Click the link, and it'll take you to my Skool community, which you get a 7-day free trial. After the 7 days, you like what you see, you can stay in it, and it's just $5 a month. $5, okay? To get in a part of the group fast, you pay another five, and that will give you all of the recipes. Her book is about 100 pages, so I don't know exactly how many recipes are in there, but it's all kind of juices, smoothies, and herbal teas. And those herbal teas will actually help flush some toxins out of your body, and it's absolutely amazing. So we're gonna start that next month. Hopefully, you guys will be a part of that. All right, I fasted up to 21 days. Yes, I did that last year. I've done about four of them. The very first one that I fasted, I didn't last a day. So, I did not last a full day. I was like, what? What do you mean? No eating? Like, this is crazy. So I tried it, and yeah, about 2 o'clock, I was probably eating again. So if you're like me and you've never fasted before, or you've never successfully fasted, join our group because it's a lot easier when you do it with other people. So yes, done up to 18 hours of dry fasting. Nice. With keto, it's obviously minimum carbohydrate intake. Okay. Okay. Good deal. Keto is simple or single ingredient, whole food way of living that's nat or Lord, I cannot. This is like all together is jumbled up and it's moving at the same time. Keto is single ingredient whole food way of living that's animal protein and fats forward. So yes, it's sustainable long term. Fasting is a great tool as well. Okay. All right. I appreciate that information. Always love learning from other people. I do not even try to act like I know everything because that's impossible. Like, no. I love learning from other people. But I do remember reading that it's not sustainable, but that's just one piece of research. It's so many different thoughts and ideologies out there. Um, as far as the animal foods, though, is it any animal foods or is it restricted? Is it certain types of animal foods? I'm curious about that. And the only reason why I bring that up is because I do heavy research when it comes to certain foods and how it reacts. Not necessarily how it reacts because we're not copy and paste bodies. Everybody's body reacts differently to different foods. However, when it comes to processed meats, those are linked to, or those are labeled a level one or a level two carcinogen. So that basically means however you look and view tobacco, look and view processed meats the same way. Okay? So the research can't say ham or salami or processed meats causes the big C, right? I gotta be careful of the words that I use on live, but it's not gonna say that, but it's gonna say there's a high probability that these processed meats correlate with the big C. So yes, that any processed meats, bacon, ham, salami. I can't even remember the types of processed meats anymore because I haven't eaten them in so long. Pastrami, uh, any kind of processing of meat. You guys already know this stuff. Hot dogs, of course, bologna. Yeah, those are the more popular ones. So you might want to stay away from those. Now, I do have some clients that I help heal them from certain things, and but their bodies negatively reacted when I had them remove meat from their, food intake. And so we gave them meat, but high quality meats, okay? High quality meats. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about meats that come from animals that have been on this earth millions of years. Okay, so whether it's deer or elk or moose or um, bison, buffalo, things, not buffalo wings, but no, just kidding. But yeah, things of that nature where those animals have walked the earth for millions of years. Okay, all this other newer stuff, like the basically the scraps of everything else that they're gonna throw out, you probably don't want that. And I used to love some hot dogs. I used to love some pepperoni. I used to love that stuff. But once I learned that those foods didn't love me back, I slowly weaned myself off from getting off of those foods. So yeah. Okay. Beef and other remnants, I guess, are going to be the most nutrient dense, though eggs are huge. I don't. Okay, here's my story on eggs, and I'm gonna get off here because I'm at already past my 30-minute time. So when I was back and forth between being plant based and getting off of the foods that I grew up on, I had multiple bouts where, I'd go 5 months straight and then back to the sad diet. Then I'd go 2 years straight, then back to the sad diet. When I got up to being 5 years plant based, something happened in my personal life where it was like, man, just forget all of this. I don't even care anymore. I went to my favorite 24-hour breakfast spot. And of course, that included eggs. Eggs was one of the biggest foods that I missed. So that was my first bite. I telling you guys, I took a big fork full of the eggs, scrambled eggs. That was my favorite way of having them prepared. Took a bite, and I literally felt it go through my throat, down to my chest, down. I felt like I felt it snaking through my intestines, and I know food don't go through that fast, but I just felt it. I felt like I felt it, and then bloop, out in my underwear was a big red blob. You guys already know. I don't get embarrassed about stuff. I talk about my own health. Hopefully you guys will be more comfortable talking about your own health issues. But out of my underwear within 30 seconds of eating that fork full of eggs, a big red blob. Now, I had had issues before with my cycle where I lasted 2 weeks and sometimes 3 weeks on my cycle. And when I ate those eggs, I was like, I just had my cycle a week ago. So what is going on? So I looked it up. I was like, what are eggs? What are they truly? And it's essentially, a fetus. And I was like, oh, so that big red blob is not really meat. It was actually that chicken. So I know I'm not saying it the right, correct, appropriate language during research, but essentially that's what that means. It was the menstruation of the egg, not me. So all these years and all these times that I'm getting, I'm bleeding out, I'm just like, what is going on? It was the food. And I know what you guys are thinking. That was a coincidence. No, that happened to me twice. And after the second time, psychologically, I was like, never again. I'm done. This don't even taste good anymore, so I'm good. Has that happened to me since? No. And that was 6 or 7 years ago. So we can't blame it on coincidence. Like, that's just not, no, it's not a coincidence. All right. So eggs are definitely not part of what I, ingest anymore. When I was really trying to make the switch, I was, indulging in vegan eggs. The Just egg was one of my favorites, but my body didn't, it rejected that as well. So I was like, what's in that my body doesn't like? And so I started doing chickpea eggs. And now I don't even desire eggs, period, at all anymore because I broke that habit of wanting that I've had in my life for 40 years. I'll be 50 this year. So I was eating eggs all of my life, all of it I can remember. But I slowly broke those habits and now the desire is gone. You can use that same method to break whatever other food addiction that you may have. That's how you do it. That's what I did, and it took me almost 10 years to get to the mentality that I have now. If you don't want it to take 10 years, sign up for my program. Okay? It's very beneficial, and I actually show you how you literally make the money back that you invest on yourself for the program. Like, literal, not just guessing, not assumptions. Literally, you will make the money back plus some by getting rid of some of your food habits that you love that don't love you back. Okay? All right. One last comment. This causes omega 6 levels to be high. Wait, let me read the before. Though most store-bought eggs are fed, yeah, for sure, soy instead of natural foods, chickens, but normally. Well, but I do remember cracking an egg. This is about to make me throw up because I just don't like it anymore. I remember years ago when I cracked open an egg, I saw that red line that connected to the shell, and it ended up blending to like a white line, and that's that's basically like the uterus that would be in a woman to her fetus. So, I can't. I'm gonna stop talking about this. I'm seriously about to throw up. But yeah, so I understand what you feed the animals definitely important, but still at the same time, we're still eating the cycle of a chicken. And so that was what was coming in and out of me. And I know I'm not the only one because I get a lot of clients that they have cycle issues, fibroid issues, which was the biggest red alert for me. And I was like, what's going on here? So yeah, you can feed them the best food on earth, but is that what needs to go through our bodies? Let me give you one thought, and again, I'm gonna go. People say they eat fish because the fish are healthy. What if you just started eating what they eat? What if you just started eating what the fish ate for the fish to be healthy? And I'm not here to try to turn anybody plant based. That's not what I'm doing. I just want you to have smarter choices about the types of meats that you eat. Because, like I said, I think there are some people that need to eat animal meat, but not all of them. You want to be smarter about those choices, okay? So, if you have to have meat, get the quality meats, level up on your quality of meats, okay? But if you've ever noticed that how many cows are out there, but these fast food restaurants sell millions of burgers a day. When is the last time you took a drive and you keep noticing these big fields of animals? Like, you just don't see it. The ones that are pictured where they're grazing the grass, we just don't see it. But then, how many brand new grave sites are being built? I know that may be a bit rash, but that's just the honest truth. The math ain't mathing. So we got to be smart about what kind of quality meats that you're eating. Okay? So the chicken, the pig, and the cow might want to be a little bit leery when it comes to that. And those three animals actually are also linked to STDs. Okay? I won't say which one. I did a whole entire research article on my website, www.drdenisетhinks.com, Denise, Denise, thinks.com, and just go for a search on my website and type in cow, pig, chicken, and it'll give you the whole article. And then I give you detail explained from research, not from my assumptions, but from research on what those animals can do to your body. And I'm telling you, like I said, I'm turning 50 this year. I feel better today than I did 30 years ago. I remember when I was like mid 20s, my knees started hurting. And I was just like, oh, I guess it's my time for me to get arthritis just like everybody else in my family. It was linked to those foods. So when vegan or plant-based people try to, educate other people, we're not being extra. We just want to feel better, and we want you guys to feel better too. So I don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in. I just want you guys to feel the best that you possibly can. Are there things that I can do to feel better? Of course, because I'm not perfect. I'm always looking to level up. That's why I asked you about the keto questions. Maybe there's some things about keto that I can look into. I just can't stand the marketing of it all, though. So when I go to the grocery store and I see keto cookies, people are putting it in their baskets because they're like, oh, well, these are probably healthy for me because it's part of the keto diet. It's like, I can't stand it. So I'm here to help you guys think better, okay? And at the same time, help me think better. All right? I appreciate you guys. I hope I'll see you in my private community in Skool so I can talk to you the way I really want to and not feel like I, have to close certain things, certain words. Join me in my community. It's a 7-day free trial. You're not missing anything. You don't like what you see, just leave and you're not charged anything, right? All right. But yeah, hopefully again, if you're just joining the 40-day free fat or a 40-day liquid fast, we're starting in April, and that is just a $10 cost for 40 days. And we're guiding you through 40 days of how you can feel better and reverse some things possibly. Okay. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining me.